All right, that was the sound of the 2.5-liter Skyactiv engine warming up its catalytic converter, which is notorious for having a loud cold start. It sounds like a diesel tractor, and in a world full of EVs, I actually really love it. Although I did wish it has remote start because I'd still be in bed right now. But this is the manual, so let's see if it's worth the trade-off. All right, let's take this thing on a drive because I think it's actually a lot of fun. This generation of the Mazda 3 has been around for quite some time now, and it's aged really well. I think the design is still fresh, and the interior for the price is still one of the best quality that you can get. Under the hood is a 2.5-liter Skyactiv inline-4. It is naturally aspirated, 186 horsepower and 168 pound-feet of torque to either an automatic transmission or either a manual transmission, which is what we have here today. And it's actually one of the best gearboxes out there. Let's do a quick launch here. Okay, it is wet, so a lot of wheel spin and some wheel hop here, but this thing drives really well. This transmission is just butter smooth. It feels like an F chassis BMW. It clicks into place really well. I think the gear changes are super satisfying, and it just can't be beat at this price point. And I think it's like driving a luxury watch. It's butter smooth, and I think it is the best manual transmission you can buy under $35K. If you get the manual transmission, you can only get a front wheel drive. If you want all wheel drive, you have to go for the auto. And if you want the turbocharged model, you also have to go for a full automatic transmission. But manual is just so fun. Let's come to a full stop here and do a quick launch. Of course, it's front wheel drive, and we have snow tires, so wheel spin is of course expected. 0 to 60 in 7.1 seconds. Not too shabby. It feels like a lot of power available. Even though it's actually not that fast, you're down quite a bit on power compared to the turbocharged variant, but because you have to shift your own gears, it makes it just a lot of fun. And I think the gears are actually pretty long, although it wants you to shift quite often. There's even a guide there that tells you what gear you should be in. And sometimes by the time you're across an intersection, you're already in fourth gear. At 40 miles per hour, you're already in sixth gear to save gas. But this transmission is just terrific. It is so light, but also communicative at the same time. It reminds me of like an older BMW. The gear shifts are so satisfying, and it just goes into gear very nicely. The clutch is fairly light, but you get a good amount of feedback. No rev hang like the Honda Civic Si, and it's very easy just to shift very smoothly. Like you don't feel anything without putting that much effort in. No active rev match available, but it is also very easy to do it yourself here. This pedal spacing is also pretty good if you want to heel toe. You're just actually going to have to use your heel and your toe. You also have your auto hold here, so you don't roll back on a hill getting off the line, which is great. Yeah, the shifts are butter smooth. I really like this transmission. I think it's much more luxurious than what you get from the competition. One thing I will say though is that when you get to redline, it actually cuts power about 250 RPM before redline. So there's a little buffer where the power is just killed before you actually hit redline, which is fine. The car is basically just tapping you on the shoulder to make sure that you don't blow up the transmission. Ride comfort is extremely good. It's very composed. It feels very refined compared to like a Toyota or a Honda. It feels much closer to a BMW. It's just very refined. It's actually a torsion beam setup, which the internet hates, but you would never know. It just feels perfectly fine. All right, let's just come into the corner here. Shifts are great. In case you think you're missing out on all the fun without the all-wheel drive, you actually still get G-vectoring control here, which means when you enter a corner, it actually starts braking the inner wheel just to have the front nose dive into the direction that you're going in so that it rotates from that point. And thanks to that, it gives you extra grip into that corner. So it's still a ton of fun. It handles well, body roll is minimal. I think this is pretty much what a Honda Civic Si would feel like almost without the LSD. But this is good. It handles really well. And over these bumps, you cannot tell that it is a torsion beam in the back. Even with a bump like that, it takes it pretty well. And it's also very quiet in here. The engine has a fair amount of sound to it, but there's very little road noise and tire noise. Especially when you're using the Bose noise cancellation, you just play any bit of music and you don't hear anything outside. It is very good. In terms of fuel economy, it averages 30 miles per gallon combined. What we're getting here right now this week is about 26 miles per gallon combined because it is extremely cold in Toronto right now. And I'm also driving it not very efficiently because it is a lot of fun. Blind spot check. I will say the blind spots are actually pretty big because of the hatch, especially on your right side. But you do get blind spot monitors, which is great. You also get your adaptive cruise control, of course, and your lane keep assist. Both work wonderfully in this car. And of course, it doesn't come in a full stop because it is manual. Driving the Mazda 3 is an absolute blast, but all that time out on the road means you're inevitably tracking in dirt, mud, or dealing with wet and slushy weather. If you want to keep your interior looking as clean and brand new as possible, those thin factory mats just aren't going to cut it. They get ruined fast. You need something with actual coverage, and that brings me to the sponsor of today's video, Lasfit. Instead of sticking with the stock setup, I've actually upgraded my own vehicles with these custom Lasfit floor mats. We use these ourselves because they are laser measured for a perfect edge-to-edge fit. Unlike the factory options, Lasfit uses these deep raised edges to trap all that mud, snow, and salt before it ever touches your carpet. The material is super durable, they look and feel great, odorless, and cleanup takes zero effort. You just pull them out, hose them off, and you're right back on the road. If you want to protect your own interior and get a set of these, check out the link in the description and make sure to use my discount code to save on your order. Now back to the video. Okay, let's take a look at the exterior on the Mazda 3. I really like this deep crystal blue mica color. It's like a dark navy blue. It looks really good here. Your adaptive LED lights in the front. I like how there's no chrome. It's pretty much blacked out up here, and your radar is going to be in that Mazda logo and 360 camera as well there. Just a nice big grille. I think it still looks really good. 18-inch gray wheels on the side here, and you get no black fender lining. It's just your body color paint. It looks much more high-end like this, and you get your chrome strip on the side. The whole look of the car, which they call their Kodo design, just looks like a huge liquid metal sculpture, like it kind of melted. It looks really good from the side here. Coming into the back, this massive C-pillar, that's where your huge blind spot's going to be. Some gloss black up here in the back. Rearward visibility, it's kind of like a letterbox. It's not the greatest, but I think it's a great trade-off because it looks really good in the back here. Of course, these taillights are pretty cool. It looks kind of evil. I like it. Your exhaust tips on both sides. I do like to see that nowadays. All right, we are in line for the car wash now because we got the outside super dirty while filming this thing, but the inside is super nice. I think for 2026, it's aged really well, and it feels like it's designed towards the driver. Unlike a lot of cars now where it's designed towards a huge iPad in the middle, it feels like everything just flows well. And you get this 10.25-inch screen that now has touch screen for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is wireless, of course. And you can also still use the rotary knob, which is perfect because the screen is still pretty far out, so you're not reaching all that much. And I like the fact that it's far out because it's much closer to what you're looking at outside, so it's not as distracting. Here in the middle, you have a semi-digital and analog display. It's pretty simple. There's only a few things that you can go through. Now that every car is just screens slapped on everywhere, I actually really like how it's still analog. The materials are nice. You get a lot of soft padding throughout. Some stitching on the side and up here, very soft padding. There's a little bit of hard plastic at the bottom, of course, like pretty much every car, but everywhere that you'd actually touch is soft. There's still a lot of piano black here, so you gotta be careful with this. I like the volume knob position, of course, and this lovely shifter because it is a manual. The cup holders are positioned up front, so it's not in the way of the shifter, and your wireless charger up front there. Of course, here you get 2 USB-C ports and a fairly sized center console. And one of the best parts about this interior is the 12-speaker Bose audio system. They sound terrific. You also get a heads-up display, so it's not like this car is missing any tech. It has a lot more than what you'd find in a Honda Civic or a Toyota Corolla, and a 360 camera, which you also don't find in the competitors at this price point. And also parking sensors all around. Let's of course test out this cup holder. Fits perfectly here, and the door bin. Plenty of space in there as well. I like the fact that the HVAC control is still present. It's not buried in a screen somewhere. You got your heated seats and your heated steering wheel, which just heats the side of the steering wheel. The driver's seat is powered, but the passenger seat is manual, and you also get a sunroof. Right, the back seat, I am sitting behind myself at 5'8", and I have maybe 2 inches, maybe less, of legroom left. If anyone's 5'10" in the front, you're pretty much just torturing whoever's sitting in the back. And headroom's actually okay, it's not horrible. You have about 1 inch or 2 left. I feel like the sedan has more space than the hatchback variant of this car, and you have pretty small windows on the side. No heated seats in the back in this trim or USB-C ports in the back here, but it's probably available on a higher trim level. All right, let's see how many boxes we can put in the back of the Mazda 3. In the back here, we have 20 cubic feet of space, and I'm pretty sure we can only fit 1 box here, but when we fold the seats down, we get 47 cubic feet of space. So let's see how many we can fit now. Now with the seats folded, we can fit 4 boxes in total in the back of the Mazda 3 hatchback. Not too bad. Okay, here's what I don't like about the Mazda 3. First, the piano black here because it scratches up pretty easily, which there is a lot of in the middle. 2, the blind spots, especially on the right side, but you do get blind spot monitors, so that's okay. 3, no active rev match available, which you'd expect in a manual car now. I like downshifting myself and rev matching myself, but sometimes I get lazy. So in stop and go traffic, having active rev match would be pretty useful. And 4, the rear seats are not very big. It's pretty tight back there. And number 5 is the fact that you can only get the turbocharged option with the automatic. If you want the manual, you gotta go with the NA. I think if they paired the manual transmission with the turbocharged engine, it would easily be one of the best hot hatches out there right now. Modern cars are pretty much iPad on wheels that drive themselves. The Mazda 3 manual is not that car. It is the opposite. And in a world where my job, my friends, my groceries are all virtual, this is a digital detox. It feels like it is designed to be a driver's car. Everything flows around you. There isn't crazy Christmas tree ambient lighting in here. In fact, you don't even have ambient lighting at all. But it feels like what a car should feel like. It is not a computer on wheels, but it does have all the tech and safety features that you would expect in a modern car. It has really good speakers, and for the top of the line manual version, it is only 37,000 Canadian dollars or about 33,000 US dollars, which is insanely good. I think it's a great package overall. Good on gas, has all the tech that you need, it's comfortable, and most importantly, it is very fun to drive. It is a car for people who still like to drive, and it's the best looking mistake you'll ever make if you call joy a mistake. That is all, guys. As always, thanks for watching.